All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the completely unique, entirely shared economy rules of Monopoly Socialism. Now, if you think you know classic Monopoly, you're going to want to leave most of those old strategies right at the door. As you'll see, we're looking at a game that takes the traditional mechanics of ruthless capitalism and flips them into this crazy, delicate balancing act between your own personal ambition and the collective survival of everyone at the table. We're going to break this down into 5 quick parts: setup and the main goal, the action die and moving, managing projects, the community fund and jail, and finally, exactly how you win or lose. Let's jump right in. Part 1, setup and the main goal. Let's set the stage. So here is the real tug of war at the heart of this game. You are constantly balancing an individual goal against a massive shared risk. To win, you individually need to be the first player to place all 10 of your contribution chips on the board. But hanging over your head is the constant, looming threat that if the shared community fund ever empties out, everyone loses immediately. You're basically racing your friends to dump all your chips, but if you drain the system's shared resources too fast while doing it, the whole thing collapses and every single player loses. To get things going, you start the game by placing exactly $1,848 into that community fund. And hey, fun fact, 1848 is actually the year the Communist Manifesto is published. The rest of the money stays in the box and acts as the bank. Now, this shared pool of $1,848, that is literally your collective lifeline. Every single time a player falls short on cash, this shared fund is going to take the hit. The rest of the setup is super straightforward. Distribute that initial community fund, and you'll notice there are no standard properties to buy here. Instead, you just place the project cards next to their matching spots on the board. Put the chance deck face down, start everyone's token on go, and then hand out 10 identical color contribution chips to each player. Oh, and the oldest player goes first, and you just take turns clockwise from there. Moving on to part 2, the action die and moving. Let's look at these unique movement rules. On your turn, you're rolling both the standard die and these unique action die. This extra die dictates your movement or throws chance cards your way. If the action die shows a 2, 3, or 4, you just add that to your standard die and move your token. See a ×2 symbol? You get to double whatever you rolled on the standard die. But if you hit a +1 or a +2, you have to draw 1 or 2 chance cards. And the twist here is that while some of these cards have to be played immediately, others can actually be kept for later. If you have to choose just one to keep, the rest goes straight to the bottom of the deck. Now, just like in the classic game, rolling doubles is awesome because you get an extra turn. But seriously, don't push your luck. If you manage to roll doubles 3 times in a row, you are sent straight to jail, and your turn ends immediately. No way around it. Okay, part 3, managing and developing projects. This is where we actually develop the board. When you land on a project space, you've basically got 2 paths depending on its status. If it's an unmanaged project, you can either claim it to manage yourself, or if you don't want it, you have to auction it off starting at $5. But get this, the auctioneer isn't allowed to bid on it at all. Now, if the project is already managed, you have to pay a $10 contribution fee. If someone else manages it, you hand them $10 and get to add one of your chips to an open space on the card. If it happens to be your own managed project, you just pay that $10 directly to the bank. But wait, you've also got a proactive option here called self-development. At the very beginning of your turn, right before you even roll the dice, you can choose to add a contribution chip to your managed project. You do this by paying the bank the specific self-development fee that's printed on the card. This is an absolutely crucial strategic move, because remember, the entire point of the game is to get those 10 chips out of your hand as fast as possible. So what happens when a project is completely full of chips? It becomes fully developed. No more chips can be added, and it essentially transforms into an economic engine for the board. If anyone lands on a fully developed project, the bank steps in and pays the amount shown on the card to both the manager of the project and the community fund. Even better, if you happen to manage 2 fully developed projects in the same color set, that bank payout actually increases. It's an amazing way to keep refilling that shared survival pot. Which brings us perfectly to part 4, the community fund and jail. Let's talk about those shared risks. You absolutely must remember this golden rule. All payments have to come from your own personal pocket first. But if you ever don't have enough cash to pay for something, say it's an auction bid, a penalty, whatever, the community fund automatically makes up the difference. This means every single time you have a personal financial shortfall, you are directly draining the collective survival fund. If the highest bidder in an auction suddenly can't pay, the fund covers it. If you're completely broke, the fund covers it. Now, passing go triggers this whole immediate collective event. Every single player gets a $50 living wage collected straight from the bank. But keeping with the spirit of shared responsibility, everyone then has to instantly pay at least $5 of that right back into the shared community fund. It's a nice little group boost, assuming, of course, you pass go the normal way. And I say that because of the community shuttle spots. Landing here lets you fast travel around the board, but it drains the shared fund to do it. You have to pay $50 from the community fund to the bank, and then you can move to any project between your spot and the next shuttle. Want to go even further? Just pay another $50 from the community fund for each extra shuttle you pass. But watch out. If you happen to pass go while riding the shuttle this way, nobody, and I mean literally nobody at the table gets their $50 living wage. So, how do these mechanics work when you're locked up? If you find yourself in jail, you have exactly 3 ways out. You can pay $50 from your own funds at the start of your turn, use a get-out-of-jail-free card, or try to roll a 6 on the standard die. You get 3 turns to try for that 6. And keep in mind, while you're stuck behind bars, players can still contribute to your projects and you can still trade, but you cannot self-develop your own projects. Now, here is a massive caveat for jail. You absolutely cannot just dip into the shared pot to post your own bail. If you fail to roll a 6 by your 3rd turn, you have to pay that $50. If you are totally broke, the other players actually have to manually bail you out with their own personal cash. They have to scrape together the money however they can until you hit $50. Only if the players collectively still don't have enough money out of their own pockets can the community fund finally be tapped to cover the rest. Finally, part 5, how to win or lose. Let's look at the final balance. First off, to keep things flowing and the fun alive, trading is completely on the table at any time. You can swap projects, cash, or jail cards with other players, and you guys get to completely make up the price. The really important strategic rule here is that when you trade a project, all the contribution chips currently sitting on it stay exactly where they are. You aren't resetting the board, you're really just shifting management. And it all comes down to this one ultimate tension. Victory goes to the first player to successfully place all 10 of their contribution chips out on the board. But hanging over everyone's head the whole time is the threat of defeat. If that community fund ever drops to $0, the whole system collapses and every single player loses immediately. So the final question for you is, can you ruthlessly develop your own projects fast enough to get the win, or are you going to drain the collective fund and take the whole table down with you? Good luck finding out.